Hey everyone, today's talk is going to be on some of the vocabulary and the background on the motion and design science kit that we're going to get into, but we need to get some background information first. So what we're going to do is get some vocabulary today and talk about two different types of energy that we'll be exploring pretty deeply while doing the motion and design kit. So in your notebooks, what I'd like you to do is get down some of this vocabulary. I'll talk a little bit about each one, and then we'll talk about the potential and kinetic energy towards the very end. So first and foremost, what is motion? Motion is the act or process of moving or being moved. Now that can be either by a vehicle or your body walking. Any type of movement is what we're going to be talking about. And then design, our second part of our motion and design science kit. To do or plan something that has a specific purpose or an intention in mind. And you're going to be doing that. You're going to be designing vehicles later on in this science kit. I'm not going to give away too much. That is going to, they have a specific purpose. They are supposed to travel a certain way, or the energy that is being used to move them. We're going to have different types of that type of energy. So you can pause the video if you need to get these vocabulary words down. Okay, some more vocabulary we're going to talk about. Energy, the ability to do work or to make something happen. We are going to be talking about two specific types of energy that are on the next slide. Potential and kinetic energy. Now, what is a force? There's lots of different forces at work. Now, a force is a push or a pull on something. The force that we are mainly going to be talking about is gravity. And gravity is a force of attraction between any two masses. Now, we're not going to get into the real deep attraction between the Earth and the Moon, but we are going to be talking about gravity that holds you to the ground, specifically between the Earth and other objects, you or the objects we're going to use. So if you need time, pause the video and get these definitions written down. Now on to the two different types of energy that we are mainly going to be concerned about. Now I have them on this seesaw because that is how these two types of energy work. Usually one doesn't exist without the other. So we have, one is potential energy and the other is kinetic energy. So potential energy, what is it? Potential energy, if you think about the word potential, it is stored energy that can be released to become other forms of energy. Now there's lots of ways to store up this energy. You're going to discover several different ways during this science kit that we're going to use. Now potential energy, once it's stored up, it has to be released. And when that stored up energy is released, then it becomes kinetic energy. And that's going to be the energy associated with motion, what we're going to be talking about mainly during our motion and design unit. So the way they work is if you build up a lot of potential energy, then that's going to be released to a lot of kinetic energy. And once, if you have a lot of kinetic energy at that point, you probably don't have much potential energy. So let's take a look at how these two things work. And if you need more time, pause the video here. So if you think of potential and kinetic energy as a roller coaster, if you've been on roller coasters before, sometimes you get shot out or lifted up a large hill. As you go up that hill, you are moving, and that's kinetic energy. And once you get to the very top of that hill, you have the most potential energy you're going to have. You have the potential to do what? To travel down the track. So up here, we've built up all this potential energy, and now we're going to release it by the car going over the hill. That potential energy turns into kinetic as it travels. Now, something funny happens once you hit the bottom. Once you hit the bottom and start traveling back up a hill, what are you doing? You're releasing kinetic energy, but you're also building potential. You're building up more and more potential energy. You hit the top again, and what happens? Lots of potential energy. Not much kinetic energy, and then it releases. Potential releases down into kinetic. Now here's another little diagram, my little stick figure guy here, holding a piece of a rock. And he's going to, he or she is holding it over top of this huge cliff and is going to drop it. But right now, in his or her hand, it's just there. It just has potential. Potential to do what? Well, to go down, and that potential energy being lifted up off the ground, when you release it, turns into kinetic energy. We're going to be exploring potential and kinetic energy all throughout the motion and design unit. So if you need to, go back, get the vocabulary, because we're going to use this vocabulary in class when I ask you to do some design challenges to build a vehicle to meet certain requirements. So get the vocabulary and we'll talk more about it in class.